Hello everyone, welcome to BlockChain Daily News. Today is April 17th, 2024. I am digital anchor Amy. The Today News headlines. Hong Kong weighs in on Bitcoin Ethereum spot ETF. The person in charge of Fund OSL explains 9 major questions in detail. On April 15th, Hong Kong SFC approved 3 institutions to issue Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs. Compared with the United States, it not only adds Ethereum, but also allows physical delivery, and the world is paying close attention to it. OSL is the first compliant and licensed cryptocurrency exchange in Hong Kong. The SFC requires ETF issuers to trade and be hosted on a compliant exchange. 2 of the 3 issuers of currently approved BTC ETH ETFs are working with OSL. This time we had a first-hand conversation with OSL CEO Patrick Pan and OSL ETF business leader Wayne Huang. The Hong Kong Securities Regulatory Commission requires that ETF issuers must cooperate with Hong Kong VATP licensed and compliant exchanges for custody and trading. Among them, Boshi Fund, International, and Hashkey Capital jointly issue and manage products, which are expected to be listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and adopt a physical subscription mechanism. The former serves as the fund manager and the latter serves as the deputy fund manager. Harvest International's products will be managed by OSL Digital Securities Company, Limited, providing custody and trading services. Products issued by China Asset Management, Hong Kong, will be deployed by OSL Digital Securities Company, Limited and the custodian BlockChain Prudential Trust Company Limited. Question: what is the reason why Hong Kong is so fast? Answer: the regulatory framework in Hong Kong has always been relatively clear. There has been basically only one regulatory department for securities and futures in Hong Kong, which is the Securities Regulatory Commission. We have distinguished between which ones are securities and which ones are non-securities. Then, according to this regulatory framework, non-securities coins such as BTC and ETH can first be opened to retail transactions. Then the next step is to make ETF products for more traditional investors to do transactions. So its regulatory ideas have always been consistent. As for the United States, it does have several departments supervising this matter at the same time. Various departments are quarreling and competing with each other. This is why their ETH ETF products are so slow to advance. It is because there are indeed many different voices saying that ETH may be a security. Question: does the Hong Kong Securities Regulatory Commission not consider ETH to be a security? Answer: this thing has been clearly defined a long time ago. Neither BTC nor ETH are securities. Every time we want to list a currency on a compliant exchange, we first need to have a legal opinion explaining why this thing is not a security and why it is a security. Then this legal opinion needs to be approved by the China Securities Regulatory Commission. There will be its own approval standards, but now we have about a dozen coins that are non-securities: RVBAT, BCH, Comp, GRT Link, LTC, UNI, USDC, USDT. Question: why does Hong Kong allow physical delivery but the United States does not? Answer: I think there are still differences in regulatory thinking. Hong Kong has clearly defined the definitions of securities and non-securities, and how AML and KYC can comply with the current regulatory framework in Hong Kong. So in this case, the Hong Kong Securities Regulatory Commission is relatively confident after we have been operating for several years. After our VATP's AML, including KYT review, this risk is basically controllable. So the China Securities Regulatory Commission allows physical cryptocurrency to subscribe to the fund. Currently, virtual asset spot ETFs are issued in Hong Kong, allowing the use of 2 modes: cash model, and physical, in-kind model. The main reason is that the United States currently does not have special regulations regulating virtual asset trading platforms. If physical redemption is accepted, criminals may launder money by directly using BTC to subscribe for ETFs. However, in Hong Kong, licensed exchanges are required to comply with the anti-money laundering regulations, and deposits and withdrawals to the platform need to undergo strict KYC AML reviews. Therefore, physical redemption and redemption through licensed exchanges can effectively avoid the problems faced by the US market. This is a problem, but it also adds additional requirements to the Hong Kong market. cash subscriptions and redemptions are required to be conducted on a licensed exchange in Hong Kong, but it can be an on-platform transaction or an over-the-counter transaction off-platform. Physical redemption requires the virtual assets to be transferred to a Hong Kong licensed exchange or HKMA-recognized financial institutions, authorized financial institutions, AIS, and their affiliates, traders, PD, participating in redemption need to hold an upgraded number 1 license. Question: what does in principle approval mean? Answer: it is the last details of the possible documents, including the filing of some procedures for listing on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, including the fund's final and some procedures for the customer's first subscription. All may require some preparation time. So basically there won't be much difference in the general review and approval documents. In fact, some procedures require the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, including all parties, including investors, to take some time to prepare. Question: can mainland investors purchase it? Answer: we need the issuer to confirm whether southbound funds can be bought and sold, but we expect that the initial issuance will still be dominated by offshore funds. Earlier, many Hong Kong issuers involved in Bitcoin ETFs pointed out that southbound funds will definitely not be able to purchase virtual currencies and related ETFs. Matrix Board earlier reported that the Hong Kong-listed Bitcoin spot ETF is expected to attract up to $25 billion in capital inflows from mainland Chinese investors through the southbound link. Many Hong Kong ETF participants said it was pure nonsense. To invest in Hong Kong stocks, capital from mainland China needs to enter Hong Kong from the mainland through Shanghai Hong Kong Stock Connect and Shenzhen Hong Kong Stock Connect. The total capital from the two parties is called southbound capital. Question: will ETF launch other tokens in the future? Answer: I think it is very possible, because the China Securities Regulatory Commission is also actively exploring and encouraging the market to do some exploration in this area, but it may be a step-by-step approach. BTC and ETH are two products that were launched so quickly because these two tokens were in Hong Kong at the beginning. In fact, they have been open to investors for trading very early, and they were open to retail investors for trading in June last year. So the consensus on making these two coins into ETF products is still relatively high. For other tokens, it is possible to continue to have some further product development work with fund companies, including the China Securities Regulatory Commission, and it needs to be given to retail investors first. Go trade it, and then the next step is to develop it into an ETF product. Even if there are only two products, BTC and ETH, there will actually be some more innovative products coming out in the next step, some structured or some leveraged products. I believe fund companies are also intensively researching and developing them. Middle question: how is it different from European and Canadian products? Are you worried about the smaller transaction volume? Answer: we have learned about or studied this. Originally, the trading scale of the securities markets in Europe or Canada is not large. From the perspective of traditional financial centers, apart from the United States, they are theoretically London or Hong Kong and Singapore. The Bitcoin ETF has certain special characteristics, which is why it will attract some people from the traditional currency circle. For some investors in the traditional currency circle, I believe that the proportion of Chinese is relatively high, so we are relatively confident in the Hong Kong market, and the liquidity is definitely better than in Switzerland or Canada. In addition, for Chinese people, they are more familiar with the Hong Kong market or more willing to participate. Question: what is the difference between buying Bitcoin directly and buying ETF? Answer: for example, if you originally opened an account at a brokerage but not at OSL, you can buy ETFs like stocks at your original brokerage, and then after you sell them, you can immediately convert them into cash or other stocks and bonds. Some investments. Therefore, you may be able to allocate all multiple assets at the original brokerage level, so this is a relatively attractive place for some ordinary retail investors. There is no need to open such an account in VATP alone. There is no need to hold cryptocurrency assets separately. The same goes for institutional purchases. For example, there are many institutions and some funds that are not authorized to buy coins directly. You can indirectly obtain the window of this currency by buying ETF in this indirect way. Question: what is the difference between futures and spot ETFs? Answer: Futures have a time limit, and the operation is relatively more complicated than holding a passive spot strategy, so the management fee charge is also higher. Spot ETF is a lower cost and more efficient product. Summary: the launch of Spot Bitcoin Ethereum ETF has attracted much attention around the world. It is regarded as an innovative investment tool for a large number of global funds and investors to pour into the digital asset market. These ETFs greatly simplify the investment process and increase liquidity in digital assets such as Bitcoin, making it easier for investors to enter the digital asset market. The launch of Spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in Hong Kong positions itself as a global frontier market, keeping pace with Canada, Germany, Switzerland, and other countries. Referring to the experience of US Spot Bitcoin ETF attracting more than $12.53 billion in funds, the Hong Kong market has great growth potential. Okay, today's blockchain news headlines are shared here. I am a digital human made 100% by artificial intelligence AI. If you like my show, please like, subscribe, and forward my videos to your friends. AIGPU is AI technology that truly everyone can use. See you tomorrow.